Hello and welcome back to Jones Family Farm. Today we have quite a bit going on, but I know it's been a little bit since we recorded our last video, or at least published, been recording. It has been an extremely busy spring here for Jones Family Farm with some garden bed installs, getting our stuff all set, our veggies all planted, new accounts getting set up for bundlewood, delivering those, firewood bundle firewood sheds. So today what we got going on, I kind of already started a little bit here. We're getting a refill all packed up, all bundled up for one of our gas station accounts. It's near empty. After Memorial Day weekend they got really emptied out. So we're gonna be making a lot of pine bundles, about 40 pine bundles, and I think 20 to 30 or so hardwood bundles. We'll go over a few projects that we've gotten completed here in the past few weeks. I'll just kind of show you some progress on those, what's going on. But without further ado, let's get to it. So far we have 12 plus 6, 18 bundles, and we just about finished off half of a tote of pine wood there. Pretty tightly stacked. So basically by that math we should get about 35 to 38 bundles for one bin of firewood there. One bin, tightly stacked of pine, bundle wood. Just want to kind of interrupt really quickly, kind of see the math there, how that works out. One for myself, just so I can kind of figure that out. I never actually measured out exactly what they came out to. These are just over 1 cubic foot bundles. They're about 1.1 cubic feet. Just advertise them as 1 cubic foot bundles. That way customer gets just a little bit more. Sometimes they have a little bit more, sometimes they are 1 cubic foot, but that way kind of do a little bit of CYA. There are our labels for the pine bundles. So let's get back at it. Alright, so that bin is completely empty. One little stick left. Using our John's welding manual firewood bundler. I picked this thing up secondhand for about $500 locally. Thing's awesome so far. I've definitely made my money back quite a few times over with this thing already. I've only had it for a few months, but here it is. We got 37 pine bundles out of that one IBC tote. It was stacked a little bit over the top, so we ended up getting 37 1 cubic foot bundles. So let's move on to hardwood. I'm getting set up to do the hardwood bundles next. Just figured I'd show you this little organizer. It's literally from Dollar Tree. It's $1.25. It's where I keep all my labels in. It's got a few different pockets. It's a multi-pocket folder. Put these back in. We got a few different pockets. We have the pine labels, then we have our hardwood labels. We have our kindling labels here. A lot of uncut ones and many cut smaller ones. The only thing I don't have in here are the sticker sheets for the fire starter. The only label I do not have in here, just because those I don't really need to travel around with those. Those are done all in one place. But this makes it very easy to not forget any of the labels that I need. It always stays in the truck with me. So if any of the labels get damaged, I can replace them, have extras with me. But this always stays in the truck, that way I'm always ready to get bundles made. I never forget it. And it's just easy, it tucks behind one of the seats in the back seat. So let's get ready for the hardwood bundles. Alright, so here we are, all loaded up. Got about 20 bundles of hardwood, or exactly 20 bundles of hardwood and 37 bundles of pine loaded here in the 6.5 foot bed of the Super Duty. So let's go ahead and get this wood delivered. Well, it is the next day now. We're having some issues yesterday with the camera overheating. It was about 85, 90 degrees and so we got all those bundles wrapped, loaded in the truck and delivered. And got that stand refilled. We're just in time for the weekend. Today is now Thursday. What we got to do now is actually work on the EcoPro 300 processor. So we were running some pine the other day. We broke off this bolt here. And this is what holds the conveyor onto the processor itself. So we got a few new bolts to try. You can see that one over there. We just got to replace this bolt here. So once we get that done, we can get back to processing more pine. So we're hanging pretty precariously. You can see there's a little bit of a lean to the conveyor right now. I was able actually to find the nut and washer. Alright, well, there we go. We got both sides done now. So hopefully we can work with no interruptions for the time being. Let's get back to it. Alright, well that, short, albeit short, that was the rest of the logs we had on the deck. Let's go ahead and get this refilled with some more pine. And we also have to get a load of saw logs over to the sawmill. Just got a text for a load of logs. So let's go ahead and get those delivered. Get them loaded, get them delivered, and we'll get this live deck filled back up. So as soon as we get back. And yes, we have a tent. Rain does not stop us here on Jones Family Farm. This time of year, there's obviously a lot of rain. Never know what the weather's going to be, so we got to work. Don't have full enclosure, but we got a tent, so we're going to keep working. That way, you can be a little bit comfortable still, stay out of the rain, not be completely soaked, even though I am completely soaked from sweating. So, but let's get to it. Here we are, all loaded up. Nice big load of pine logs. Go to the mill. One thing I figured I'd touch on really quick before we get going is what exactly makes a processor log. I really kind of strayed away from selling logs anymore, as I'm diving a whole lot deeper into Firewood with the bundles. You know, working on getting more restaurants, barbecue guys, seasonal and year-round accounts. What exactly makes a processor log? Because that's pretty much what I try to keep here for myself. I do still have a few customers that I've kept that will buy firewood logs from me, but by no means do I deliver them really any processor logs. So it's a term that's tossed around all the time. Processor grade logs, tree service wood, processor wood. What's the difference? Some guys who haven't run a processor, haven't seen a processor in person, maybe just kind of weekend warriors, may not know exactly what the terms are, kind of to exactly what the wood is. So let's look at a few examples here of what a processor log is, in my opinion anyway. So if you look at this pine here, this one is a perfect, regardless what the species is. If you look at this log here, it is pretty much a perfectly straight log. It is over 8 feet, so it will carry, actually over 7 feet, so it will catch both of the rails on this live deck. That is the ideal processor log, somewhere in, at least for this Range Road EcoPro 300 processor, and many others like it, until you get into some of the really big processors, like maybe like an Easton Made, or any, regardless whatever the brand is, with a big circular style wheel on it. But pretty much right here, this is going to be an ideal processor log for me. You can put your hand on it here. That's going to be about a 14-inch diameter. This next one here has a few little nubs on it that I'll be able to cut off, but relatively very straight. And again, a little bit big in your hand. This is a small end, probably a 12-inch diameter. This again is another 14. So a lot of these here are pretty much all of them, are processor logs. I do run a few logs through here that may be more work than they're worth to put on the processor, and sometimes easier to run through a regular log splitter. But that pretty much, to me, is what a processor log is. So if you follow me over here to the wood stack, I'll show you kind of the opposite, what tree service wood looks like. I do haul logs for tree companies, so a lot of it does go right to the dump, but I do keep some of it here. Whether they be, some of them can be straight, but they may be just oversized logs, ones that are a lot too big to go into onto a processor. They may have big sweeps in them that it just kind of makes it counterintuitive to put it into a processor, because it would end up taking up more time. So we'll go over here, take a look at what I would consider still good firewood. It will make quick firewood, but would not, or should not go on a processor. Regardless, again, what the species is. So we can look at the pile here. This top log here has a lot of crotches on it. It is I believe that's hickory, but it has a lot of crotches, a lot of nubs. It will still make good firewood. This one will, and a log like this, either if I don't sell it to another firewood guy. This one will be cut up into 16-inch pieces and run on the Rugged Made. If I reserve a lot of these for myself if I do run out of processor logs, or if I'm running short, whatever may have you. So this guy right here, because the crotches, that would be what a lot of guys consider tree service wood. If you look over here, this is a ash. This one right here, this guy is an ash log. That is, for my processor at least, and I guess a lot of them, this is the small end. It's probably like a 18 to 20 inch diameter. Big end is obviously substantially larger than that. That would require a pretty large processor to run. So this would be one that, for me, I would cut it into rounds and run it through the Rugged Made splitter. It would make beautiful firewood, but again, not what I would consider a processor log. It's like a borderline saw log, but it has been sitting for a while. It does have a few knots in it, limbs that were coming out. Let's see if we can find another example of what would not be processor wood. This guy right here, this is a poplar. This one will actually probably end up going to a sawmill, but if it doesn't, I'll turn it into campfire wood, or kind of mix it in with maple. So this guy here again is really big. I don't know any processor reasonably that would be able to run that. It's probably a 26 to 28 inch diameter until you get into the $250,000 firewood processors anyway. This guy here, that's another ash log. That one would not be able to run through a processor, but it'll still make beautiful firewood. So that's kind of the difference, in a lot of these terminology things. What is a processor log? What is tree service wood? What is good for a processor? What is not? If we want to count the amount of times I've said processor in the past few minutes, I'm sure if we played a game of taking shots, you'd be hammered by now. But yeah, that's pretty much what something I want to touch on. That a lot of guys talk about it. You'll throw the terms around, say, oh, I have a load of processor logs coming, I have a load of straight logs coming, of tree service wood coming, but they never actually, at least that I see, not many of them will talk about exactly what that is. So some people it is common knowledge because you're around it all the time, but some guys maybe getting start in the industry, start in buying firewood logs, don't understand the difference. And a lot of times there's a big premium on processor logs because the guys that have them can run through and make a cord in 30 minutes on some of these processors. I can probably average about a cord an hour with this pine, with this straight small pine. Even with the hardwood, if I get some really good straight logs, which I have quite a few of, I can run those through really quickly too, especially if they're oak. They split very, very easily with this machine. Maple does too. Till you get into some of the more stringy woods is what takes longer. There's a nice shot of the Chemex PID 21 log trailer. Again, that thing just is awesome. We've been very busy lately, haven't touched that in about 2.5 weeks probably at this point. It's kind of just been sitting at the yard. Didn't even load the log deck with it. The log deck was already loaded. For the past few weeks, haven't had exactly a whole lot of time to get over here. A lot of the gardening stuff, setting up gardens, some of the previous videos that we've put out have been taking up a lot of our time here, a lot of my time. But without further ado, we'll kind of get right back to it. Just wanted to get a little bit of word in edgewise there about, in my terms at least, what a processor log is, why they're valuable. So you could have an understanding if you don't know, but now you do. So let's get back to it.